From Photonics Media, this is All Things Photonics, a podcast where we explore industry-shaping advancements in lasers, optics, imaging, metrology, and sensing. Each episode, we'll speak with some of the brightest minds in industry and research about the trends shaping the landscape of photonics.
Today's episode is brought to you by Hamamatsu Corporation, a leading manufacturer of devices for the generation and measurement of infrared, visible, UV light, and X-rays. Hamamatsu is dedicated to the advancement of photonics through extensive research and offers specialized systems for select applications. Visit hamamatsu.com to learn more.
In today's episode of All Things Photonics, we speak with Dr. Reza Chaji, CEO of VueReal, a company developing and commercializing platforms micro and nano device fabrication using their proprietary MicroSolid printing technology. While the conversation places a primary focus on micro-LED and displays, VueReal's technology goes beyond that, bringing in opportunities for sensor integration. The implications are far-reaching, with the potential to create more compact wearables, augmented reality and mobile devices, medical diagnostics, and safety technologies, while pushing them beyond their current capabilities. Up next, news editor Joel Williams speaks with Dr. Reza Chaji, CEO of VueReal.
So tell me, what are some of the biggest challenges today in display technologies?
I guess if you look at the nature of today's in general, display, they need to be made in a mega factories, big giant fab, because of the capital, that the skill set and everything that you need. That's the only way you can do it, and therefore customization is a little bit out of question. The other part of it is both LCD and OLED, they improved significantly. The image quality, the power consumption, they improved quite a bit. But if you look at the overall functionality, they're just display. There is nothing else they can do. The main real estate in all modern electronics is the display. And it's very wasteful to use that interface or that surface to just to display while you can do a lot more. As we are moving more toward augmented reality, autonomy, automation, and AI integration, the need of advanced interaction with the machine that we are building is going to increase, because before machine, it was more of a one-sided communication with machine. We wanted something from the machine and the machine will tell us. Now there's going to be two-sided discussion that we're going to have with the machine. And that doesn't matter what that machine is. It could be a car, it could be a robot, it could be our AI assistant gadget that you take around. Whatever it is, now it's going to be two-sided communication, and therefore we need more advanced modalities in that. And current display cannot handle that.
Now, what about with micro LEDs specifically? I understand there's some challenges when it comes to scaling, particularly with the infrastructure or I guess lack thereof.
Mm-hmm. So there are quite few challenges, so it makes it fun to work. But it's so one of them, or more than one, is more focused on the technology and the nature of the approach to make product. The other one is more on the supply chain. So when you look at the technology and the way micro LED works, it's unlike OLED and LCD that you do surface process. Here you do pixel process. You need to put micro LED per pixel. And therefore it becomes more kind of sensitive to variation, yield, defect, and cost. So if when you're looking at, for example, even a full HD display, you're talking about over 2 million pixels. And now 2 million pixels means 6 million LEDs. A slight change in the cost multiplied by 6 million is going to be significant. A slight yield loss multiplied by 6 million is going to be a lot of dead pixels. The same thing in throughput. So because of the nature of the work, it's become very kind of sensitive. And that's why we think it's need a completely different approach. The approach that have been adopted for OLED and LCD is not going to for micro LED. You need a completely different approach to get to go over those issues. The other challenge is the supply chain. There is no vetted and kind of qualified supply chain available today for micro LED, and that's kind of a big also roadblock in terms of scaling micro LED to volume. So what does that translate? That means the lower capacity. That means higher cost of material, and also kind of lack of collaboration or partnership to scale this. So when you put all these things together, as I mentioned, you need not only a novel technology, but also you need a novel business model around that technology that works through the shortcomings and challenges of the micro LED, the landscape, the supply chain, the partnership to make it available and accessible.
Now, could you tell me a little bit about kind of how that supply chain looks for micro LED, or how you might ideally like it to look?
Mm-hmm. So similar to any display, so you beside the electronics, the interface, and the that you can use traditional foundries to make, you need two major components. The backplane, where it defines the pixels, it controls the pixel brightness, and then the front plane, which in case of micro LED is going to be the micro LED that create the light, and based on the content and based on the data from the backplane. So you're dealing with kind of two different suppliers here. One is on the backplane side. You need suppliers that can help you create and manufacture those. And also it need to be a backplane that can take advantage of micro LED. The other part is also you need suppliers that can ship micro LEDs. Traditional display LED fabs, they're not good enough for micro LED because of the feature sizes, the yield, the performance. So essentially there is a need for new facilities, new process to make the micro LED available. So you see there are now a few different companies, the kind of the legacy or the larger original LED companies, they're kind of started to invest in that field. But also you see several new companies that they just focus on the micro LED production. So the landscape and the ecosystem is evolving, but it's not fast enough. So these are the two areas that essentially you need to work to make them to make a proper product out of micro LED.
Can you tell us about VueReal's manufacturing approach and how it is working to address some of these challenges?
Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned, in order to overcome the issues of the micro LED, you need to kind of look at it from a completely different lens. The original approach that most companies are still trying to pursue, that going the larger substrate to bring the cost down, all these things, is not going to be the biggest driver for the cost down and yield improvement. So you need to essentially think like semiconductor when you're dealing with micro LED, not like a display. So what do you do to improve the yield in semiconductor? You do inspection, you do more process monitoring, you do a lot of those at the extreme level to make sure you get the yield that you need. And that's kind of what we developed with our approach. Our approach that we build the cartridges and we develop those cartridges allow us to implement a lot of process control, device monitoring, and device performance along the way before it goes to a display that kind of help us to manage the yield. The other part of it, because the cartridge and the process associated with transferring LEDs from the cartridge to this display substrate is very simple. The tool requirement is it's not a complex tool, so the capex goes down, the opex of the tool goes down, and moreover, because this is a simple process with the same tool, now you can produce more displays. So again, it helps you to bring the operation costs associated with the display down significantly. On the material side, the way we looked at the micro LED and where the waste is happening is a two area. One is majority of the solution today, they cannot use most of the wafer surface. So for example, if you look at the pick and place, in order to improve the throughput, you are looking at a bigger transfer head. So you're looking at bigger square in a circle. That you're going to have more waste area around it. So what we developed as a kind of a cartridge, we can make the cartridges small, so we can have cartridges around everywhere in the wafer, which again help us to improve the wafer utilization quite a bit. And then we use multi-cartridge to increase the throughput. So this helps us to decouple the material cost from the throughput. And therefore, we can address them independently. So the other waste area is the space between the LEDs. So a lot of solution, they need a bigger space between the LEDs, although you may try to transfer small LEDs. But if the spacing between LEDs are large, you're going to waste a lot of material. You're going to produce less LED per wafer, and therefore it's going to be more expensive displays. By using a smaller space, kind of that, you can reduce the cost. The only challenge is that your transfer solution need to be able to handle that significantly packed LEDs without interfering with the adjacent one when you're transferring the other LEDs. So that's also another key approach to our cartridge solution that allow us to make very packed LED in the wafer, so we can improve the number of LEDs in the wafer that way as well. So the combination of these two help us to bring the cost of material down. And then the full inspection and full process help us to keep the yield under control.
Now, when most people think about display technologies, they're thinking of things like TVs, screens for cell phones, tablets, and other mobile devices. But there's a lot of emerging technologies that are starting to change the way that we think about displays. Specifically, I'm thinking about the transparent displays that you guys have been showcasing at some recent trade shows. Can you tell me about that technology and its potential applications?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that demand coming from, and what are some of the capabilities that VueReal is targeting for those applications and demand?
Yeah. So we kind of if the major trend is actually coming from the automotive transport, and where you need to interact with when machine need to interact also with pedestrian that are not part of the users of that machine. So in an automotive, let's say if you look at today as we are moving to robotaxi and self-driving like Zoox or Waymos and those type of car, right now there is no way if the car is moving or is stopping, it allow you to pass or what's happening. So it's very hard to have that interaction with the car. With these transparent displays can actually provide that interaction. They can be laminated in the glass, the windows of the car, and as the car approaches to the pedestrian, it can kind of communicate which way is going and which way is not, and what the pedestrian need to do. So it's a very, I would say, it's a safety things that at some point this is going to be regulated. I've heard that this is actually now being considered as something in China, that there should be some mode of communication with the pedestrian. So this is going to be one big area that you need to do that. The other part of it is augmenting the environment. So if you look at today, kind of when you're sitting in the car or you're driving, especially in a self-driving and autonomy car, as you're driving, the car now can provide you more information around the environment or around what you're seeing. Let's say if you see a landscape, it can tell you, okay, what this is. Or let's say if you're interested in a specific product and the car knows that, and it can give you information, this product might be available here. So it can augment the environment that you are driving through because of the transparency without kind of blocking the outside. You can do the same thing in retails. High transparency, you can. So there are transparent display like OLED, but they're around 40% or less, even at very low resolution. The big challenge is if you put that in front of your product, you're kind of hiding some of the nice features, some nice design of that product. If you use a display with over 70, 80% transparency, and now augment that with more information in front of your product, now the product is going to shine and you are providing information to the customer to interact with that. So around the retail is going to be a big thing. And then in the office space building, when you need interaction and you need more. So one area, for example, that we see some interest, right now, if you are in the office sitting in front of your desk, the monitor blocks you from any view. Imagine the monitor in front of you is transparent, that you can control transparency. If you're talking to somebody, you can remove you can remove the opaque nature of the display and make it transparent, and you can now easily have a nice conversation or even share data in the monitors. So there is quite a bit of application like that as well that it would improve a lot of interaction and usage. So that's kind of where we see this technology going. The primary market we are focusing now is on automotive. As I mentioned, it provides a lot of advantage in the automotive section, but there's also other applications as well.
Interesting. I'm curious, are there any sort of trade-offs with creating a transparent display in terms of like resolution or anything like that?
So with micro LED, the resolution, it doesn't need to be sacrificed. So still you can get high transparency and high resolution. Contrast is you will lose contrast because of now you allowing some also environment or ambient light also pass through and kind of you see that as part of the display content as well. So that's why micro LED works very well here, because you can make them very bright and compete with the ambient lighting. Other displays is going to have a hard time to do that. So although you will lose some contrast, but because the high brightness of micro LED, you can still have a very decent kind of image and a lot that you can still interact and use it in an automotive condition.
Now, would the contrast be sort of regained if you turn up the opacity of the display?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So one of our VueReal key patents is that not only how to control the transparency, but also controlling it based on zone. And so imagine you have a display and you're in the car and your sun is kind of you see sun kind of shining on the window. You don't need to block the entire window. You need to just block the area that the sun is coming. So you can now control the transparency, not only making it completely go away, you can also make it kind of a gradient. So you can play with this. You can use that as also a secondary information that you can expose on top of the micro LED, more of a static information, so that you can play quite a bit with transparency and micro LED to create another mode of communication.
Oh, excellent! That's exciting news about the blocking the sun. But my car has a what is it? The visors that flip down. Normally they have sort of an extension that you can pull out, but it doesn't have it. So there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh boy, it's right in that one spot. So
Yeah.
this is good news.
Yeah. So in that case, if this displays become part of the glass in the automotive, you don't need a visor. Automatically, the car could adjust the transparency automatically, and then you get a very nice experience in the car.
I think people could kind of be forgiven for thinking of VueReal as a micro LED or display company, strictly. But that's not necessarily the company's exclusive focus, as I understand it. Can you tell us how the MicroSolid printing platform can address areas like sensors and lighting, for
Yes.
example?
Yeah. So the way we transfer micro LEDs into the surface, the same approach we can use to transfer other optoelectronic devices like sensors and actuators or any other type of device that you can build in a semiconductor kind of facility. So what we do, we take those devices, turn them to a cartridge, and then the tool doesn't know what is inside. The tool just, you tell them transfer one of these on every 150 micron, and it will do it. So that's kind of enables us to go beyond micro LED, even into the micro sensor. That's where we think the future of the display and also sensor integration is going to go. So so what it allows now in case of VueReal and our business model is to create this platform, MicroSolid printing platform, provided to different companies, different interested parties that they want to create, design, or make products. And then we provide them cartridges. We work with different vendors that they have different type of micro devices. We turn those to a cartridge. And now the companies, they can take those cartridges and create any application they want. So the way we looked at it is more like a smartphone and app market. What the smartphone did for the app, it allows all these genius people come up with a lot of applications like Ubers, Airbnb, and tons more. This will enable the same thing for the hardware domain. When you provide this in the hand of all those creative people and give them kind of the canvas and the cartridge to integrate, they're going to come up with a lot of ideas and application that we don't know. It could go all the way for health, security, automation, autonomy, because if you can integrate different type of sensors and control them differently, now you can do a lot more beyond display and beyond a micro LED. That's our end goal. That's where we want to go. Have a vast portfolio of cartridges and a platform that everybody use in their facilities and come up with these crazy ideas.
Oh, excellent! So this allows other companies to integrate their sensor technologies into this platform.
Yes.
Speaking of which, VueReal, you guys have established a fair amount of partnerships. To my knowledge, you guys have partnered with ACAT Metrics, RAT Display, Torre. How do those partnerships sort of line up with? Well, actually, I guess we've sort of answered this, but I guess I'll ask it anyway.
Yes.
How do those partnerships line up with the strategy and VueReal's place within the semiconductor ecosystem?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the big difference that we think micro LED has compared to large display fab is that you can do it in a small to mid volume anywhere in the world. So the way we look at it is like a publisher versus printer. Today, everybody has a printer in the office, and you don't go to a big facility for when you want to print just the thousands of papers. So you do it at home. We think micro LED can do the same thing for display sensors and other applications. So especially based on our business model and our MicroSolid printing platform. The challenge is creating an easy to use setup that everybody can take it, put it in their facility, and can produce product. So what we are doing, we are creating these partnerships between the tool vendors, materials, and device providers. We are kind of qualifying them and working with them to make sure their device, their setup works with our platform. And now if a company A wants to use our platform and create product, they don't need to know everything. They just need to know that this list of vendors, they go buy these tools, put it there, and this company will provide them this material, and we will ship them cartridge, and they can create the product that they want.
Now you mentioned, sort of a publisher versus, a printer in the office. Is the printer in this scenario, so to speak, would that sort of go beyond a, sort of a simple like evaluation kit?
Oh yeah, these are the same platform that you use to develop your product. You can use it to scale to volume.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and the good thing is that because we are making a standard cartridges, companies who want to do custom product, they're not going to get hit by high price of customization because our cartridges is standard across vast number of applications, and therefore the cost of those cartridges, if you use them to produce thousands or if you use them to produce millions, not going to change significantly. And therefore, customization is going to be kind of the name of game for micro LED and microsensors.
Interesting. Do you sort of envision, kind of a future where, say like a mom and pop glass company, could have, this sort of, capability to produce a pane of glass that can, do perform some of these functions?
Yes, there are still some other technology that need to kind of advance to make it kind of as easy as possible to do it even in such form factors, and they are actually progressing quite well. But that's the end goal. That's what we are looking at. We are actually one of our display companies or investors, or one of the actually glass company. And that's exactly the reason they are looking at creating smart glasses for their customers, providing them value add beyond just glass.
Interesting. Now, I was wondering, just sort of for just for fun, what are some of the potential applications of this technology that you're the most excited about? Maybe not just from like or maybe both, from a business perspective, and also from a just personal excitement.
Mm-hmm. So what this technology can do for health, and it's kind of very promising. So the way that right now we do health or a lot of things, this happens in the big facilities, big lab, and it's very hard to do preventive kind of medicine. There are these groups that they call them longevity groups, or they can help you to do some sort of preventive medicine, but they're crazy expensive. It's not something accessible for general population to use it. As we kind of the population start to age, as we grow, this is going to be a big factor. I mean, already we see our health system is overloaded with a big expense on the government and not a good service. So as you can integrate a lot of different sensors and you can do it at the same cost as a display, now having a personalized health monitoring system at home or as a wearable product is not going to be out of kind of question. It's something you can do. With the age of the AI and these tons of real-time data that you're collecting, you're providing based on your movement, your all the information it collects from your body, biometrics, and all those different factors that it can measure when you do all these different sensors. Now you can create a real-time preventive system that can provide you feedback, what to do to eliminate some of the stuff that could help kind of diminish your health or your well-being or the productive time of your life down the road. So that's where actually I see a lot of promise and a lot of potential, both from the huge impact that it could have on the humanity. And I think it's going to be a great business for companies to grow as well.
Did you have anything else that you just wanted to highlight, or something in mind that you really wanted to talk about?
As I mentioned, we are looking for quite a bit of partners, creative people who are looking for different applications. We are building our ecosystem. If anybody interested or think they can add to this ecosystem, we really believe in partnership, and this is something we advocate and we are interested. And the other part of it is we are doing this in a small town in Canada and making display and lighting. So that actually by itself is a proof that you can make this type of product anywhere in the world. So when we are kind of with all these geopolitical issues and all the supply chain challenges, this type of technology could easily address those issues as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
With that, we conclude another episode of All Things Photonics. Thank you to our sponsors, to the technical staff behind the scenes, and to continued support from the Photonics Media editorial team. As always, questions, comments, thoughts, and ideas are welcome. Let us know how we're doing via email at allthings@photonics.com. All Things Photonics is available on all major platforms and on our website, photonics.com.